السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. So, as a revert or as a convert to Islam, there's something that we need to take in consideration, and that is we need to learn some strategies to build up our practicing so that it becomes consistent and fruitful. So, one of the things is that sometimes, when we get that initial boost of Iman, when we become Muslim and we're in the community and everything's going well, we want to do everything that we can. We want to, do every act of worship that we can think of, and we want to do as much good deeds as possible, which is something great and something honorable. But sometimes this can have some negative effects if you're not ready and if you do it in the wrong way. The first step or the first strategy I would like to discuss is to start small and consistent. So take acts of worship that you can do and perform relatively easily and remain consistent on them every day. Okay, so obviously we have our Khamsa Salawat, our five prayers. That's the foundation. But if you're going to try to read some Quran, or if you're going to make dhikr, then same time every day, and set an amount that you can easily do. So if you're going to pray witr, if you're going to pray your night prayer, then set a number that you feel comfortable performing, that you can perform every day. This is much better than, for example, standing in the middle of the night, praying for an hour once, twice, and then not doing it again for another 3 months or ever. Okay, Islamic knowledge is vast. And one of the tricks of shaitan is that sometimes we want to jump to the juicy, controversial issues that we see on social media, and the brothers in the masjid that have been on the deen for a lot longer than you are engaged in controversial stuff. And sometimes even those brothers, they shouldn't be partaking in this in the first place, right? But the key to establishing a strong, consistent practicing is that when you're learning, you learn systematically in the correct order. So realize that you need to learn how to pray, how to make wudu, how to make ghusl, right? The etiquettes of using the bathroom. These types of things come first, rather than which sheikh is best in this science, or which sheikh is better in this, or some deep, intricate Aqidah issues. You should be learning the foundations. For example, in Aqidah, we start off with those issues which the Muslim community is united upon. Okay, and you understand them very well, and you establish them in the heart, and you embody them first. Okay, when it comes to fiqh, you look at the four pillars after the shahadatain and what they all entail. Not in great detail, but at least from authoritative source. So we should learn to prioritize. The du'as for when we wake up, the du'as for when we go to sleep, the du'as and the dhikr or the adhkar of entering the masjid, and so on and so forth. Things you're going to need in your daily life. You start there and then you build up. You should try to find qualified teachers who can guide you in this process, who are teaching systematically. Yes, talks are great. They boost your iman and everything, the regular talks that happen in the masjid, but this is not the core for establishing Islamic knowledge. Number 2 is to prioritize and personalize what you learn and what you partake in. What do I mean by this? So we look, what's more obligatory for me to learn? Yeah. If I don't know how to pray my 5 obligatory prayers in the day, I shouldn't really be looking into Salat al-Kusuf, the eclipse prayer, because this is Fard al-Ain upon you now, and this is not Fard al-Ain upon you now, right? If I'm in a business, for example, this is what I mean by personalized. So the first one's prioritize. We look at that which is more obligatory. Yeah. So fasting Ramadan obviously is more important than fasting 2 days in the week, Monday and Thursday. And for example, how to pay my zakat. Now, personalized there are things that could be specific for you. So for example, I don't own any businesses. I'm not a businessman. Okay. But if you are a businessman, or you do own a business, or you are, dealing in trade, then there are some knowledges you need to learn and prioritize and personalize for you, because now this is incumbent upon you. Also, look at yourself. What are you good at? If because we're talking about the beginning of your Islam. So if you're someone where fasting is really easy for you, then increase in your fasting. But if fasting is really difficult for you, okay, then maybe, focus on other ibadat early on, yeah, until you strengthen your iman, then partake in the acts of worship, which are voluntary. And, when you strengthen yourself, you can partake in those. Now, this is talking about performing acts of worship. One of the hardest things as well is leaving off the things which are prohibited. So we need to take our time, but the reality is, we have to stop drinking. We have to stop partaking in riba and eating pork and all these types of things. These are things that we have to do. They're a must. We must stop them. Okay, but there are ways we can make this easier. So number one, prioritize the major sins. Prioritize those sins which are a consensus, like drinking alcohol and so on and so forth. The issues where there is a khilaf, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then prioritize, remove these major sins and these sins which there's a consensus upon, and then move on to the others when your iman is stronger and you're more stable. And here, we should avoid being too extreme. Now, what I mean here, I don't mean, not being an open Muslim and proud Muslim. No, but there are some issues where if there is room, okay, alhamdulillah. If you want to leave something off, then alhamdulillah, leave it off. If you think it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then leave it off for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you're dealing with others, okay, sometimes as reverts or converts, we can have this thing where we kind of we see Muslims doing things that we think are wrong, and we really want to push. And sometimes it's a genuine khilaf. There's a genuine difference of opinion. Maybe you don't know that. And this can make things very difficult for you. You start to feel isolated and so on and so forth. And most brothers I've seen take this approach, Allah musta'an, you find that they either end up stop practicing, or even worse in some scenarios. And, try to maintain the balance. Make sure you keep some of your life, have time for a breather, have some fun, leisure, sports, nature walks, these types of things, meeting up with friends, have a social life, okay? Don't burden yourself too much from the beginning. And finally, is to seek support and guidance from the local community. And the tantamount and most important thing is to constantly ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make practicing easy for you, to keep you firm upon your practicing, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to facilitate that for you.